Let's see if this is working.
Oh, my neck looks awkward.
Hello, guys.
Whoa, it's really delayed.
Oh, look at this. So, I am using a new program to stream to you guys, and I have no idea if it's working. So, you'll have to let me know, please, in the comments.
I keep looking at Clell thinking it's me, and I'm like, that's not me, because I expect me to be on, like, that side.
So, welcome. I have Clelia, or Abigail. This one's Abby, this one's Clelia, and my husband is hiding as well. And we wish you all a happy new year. I wanted to start off by thanking you guys for joining us. I don't know how long we'll do this. I guess for as long as we want, as long as you guys want. I wanted to start out by mentioning a few things that are going on. First off, I'm doing a giveaway on Instagram for reaching 25,000 followers there. So if any of you guys are on Instagram and you aren't following me, I have some posts up about that. It is an international giveaway. Welcome to my husband, Chris. So just, if you're interested in that, it ends tomorrow. I'm going to have the kids pick the winner, so I'm not going to have anything to do with that. Also, on February 1st, I am going to be in Miami, Florida. On February 1st, I'll actually be in more of the Fort Lauderdale area, where I'm going to be lecturing for the Gold Coast Aquarium Society. I do have all of my events on my website, which is MsJinx.com. The next day, February 2nd, a local fish farm called Neighborhood Fish Farm is opening up their farm to us so that we can do a meet and greet. And that is being sponsored by Hikari and Magfloat, or Global Fish Co., I think it is. And there's going to be some different vendors, and really I'm just going to be there to hang out and meet anyone who wants to come. So if you're in the Miami area, I'd love to meet you. And then in April, I'm going to be in Louisiana for Aquafest, and I'm going to try and bring my whole family to that one. That's right outside of New Orleans, and we haven't been there. Well, they've never been there, but my husband and I haven't been there since this one was 6 months old. So we're really excited to go back. And then I'll be at Aquashella Dallas, and that's what I have on my agenda concrete for now. I left a lot of things really open because one of my goals for this new year is to try and visit more regions, not specifically clubs, but maybe find some stores that are interested in having me out so we can support your local stores or try out some new events and just hit some areas that I don't generally hit. So if you have a local store that has speakers, make sure you let them know that I'm really interested in doing more to support what's left of our local stores. So with that being said, let us know if you guys have any questions for anyone in particular. I don't know what they're doing. You guys get to see my family in reality here.
I was playing with my nose ring and it looked like I was picking my nose, and Dad taps me with his foot and I'm like, I'm playing with my nose ring.
Can someone tell me why I thought this was a good idea?
Pepper!
Oh, good. Someone's going to be in Louisiana. And again, all of these events are on the events page of my website, MsJinx.com. This is Pepper. She's my editor.
Trying to run away.
So anytime there's an issue in one of my videos for editing, blame the cat.
Oh my God. The white cloth said, I'm going to head out.
I'm glad to see people are going to be coming to see us. You can pull it up on your phone if you'd like.
I can't do that.
So, some of the other things that I'm going to... Yeah, I'm drinking White Claws.
There's no laws when you're drinking claws.
Black cherry in particular.
How do you go to your channel?
What's on the agenda, fish and shrimp wise? Well, yesterday I got a really killer group of wild betta species. I keep our cameras reversed, so I keep looking at the wrong kid when they're making faces at me. So I've got some wild betta videos coming up. I'm currently in the process of tearing all the lighting out of the fish room and redoing it, which has been quite a project, but I'm really excited. For the past 15 years that I've had a fish room, I've only ever used like budget shop lights. So I'm really excited to try a bunch of new projects or products and share them with you guys. Various lighting that may be more appropriate for people who have less aquariums, not just people who have a lot of aquariums. Okay. Pepper is amazing. She is, both our cats also play fetch. If she's my cat. And
Pepper is literally my cat.
Clelia will say that Pepper is her cat. We all fight over Pepper.
Mabel's in my bed right
You
now.
picked her out.
Someone asked, Ultra Shotgun asked if I would recommend tiger barbs for a starter. I think they're a great starter fish. You definitely, though, need to have enough of them because they need to establish a hierarchy. So 6 is really not enough. I would say 10 or more for them to be really happy. Does anyone have any specific... Oh, how's diving going? Ginger asked Abby. How's diver going? Do you have a favorite dive? Do you do springform or platform?
It's going good. I have a meet on Saturday. What was the other question?
Springform. She does mainly springform for high school or springboard. Oh God, why do I do this to myself?
Springboard.
Springform is a cake pan. So she does 1 meter for high school, and then for club she does 1 meter and 3 meter, but probably at college she'll do platform as well. Unfortunately, where we live, she already has to drive almost 2 hours each way just to get time on the 3 meter board, which she does every Friday. And there is not local, even within 2 or 3 hour platform availability.
Hopefully we get a 3 meter in one of the local schools next year, though. So that should be good.
William Booth asked if I'm planning on putting Chris's badass skills to build anything crazy. I'm glad that you mentioned that. We like to do every year or every other year a fundraiser around Chris's birthday, which is the end of February. And we'd love to hear from you guys. Like, what would you... Normally we build a sculpture that we then... either do a direct fundraiser with a particular thing, like the last time it was St. Jude's, so I could set up a direct donation page to St. Jude's, and then everyone who donated got entered into a lottery, and then we could pick someone from that lottery. I think that this time we had talked about potentially supporting a nonprofit, no-kill animal shelter and making something to raise money to donate to them. So if you guys have any suggestions, we would love to hear what you want. He made me this really, or a couple things. He made me this really cool camera out of junk. We thought maybe, do you want to grab that real quick?
Hey, if you want to ask me a question, that's nice.
You're gonna have to...
Anyway, he'll grab it. And someone, what'd they ask you, Clau?
How's Colorguard going?
How is Colorguard going?
I had a really bad respiratory infection and was out of practice for 3 weeks. Mom. And they wrote me out of half the show. But I got solo, so that's what happens when you get sick.
Am I gonna have to lift it up?
So, oh my gosh. This is the sculptural camera that Chris made for me.
It's so heavy.
It's really neat, but because of its size, it's not very... Something of this size is not very shippable. Not even really within the U.S. because it would cost me a fortune. So what we were thinking is of making something about a third of the size and a third of the weight, or doing something, oh my God, like we did before, which was a more fish-themed sculpture.
Can you check the chicken dip? Sorry. I just got excited. I forgot it was in there.
Or something like that. But if you guys, Chris works best on inspiration. So no matter what he comes up with, it's going to be amazing.
Someone give you money.
Oh, thank you.
It was nice of them. That's what I had to say.
Thank you, David, for the $4.99 super chat. Can you stop?
Sorry, I'm excited.
Plan to attend any shows, Pennsylvania, Maryland, or Virginia? Probably, because that's all very close to me. I know that the Big Fish deal has been scaled back to a one-day event this year, so I would like to go, but it's an awful lot of driving for a one-day event for me. I mean, that's 4 hours in the car, so we'll have to see. I was pretty bummed that it's not a weekend event anymore. The Keystone Clash happens each year, which is very local to me, so I would assume that I would be there. I emceed it last year. I haven't spoken to them about the event this year, but, it's so close that I'll likely attend in some capacity. As far as Virginia, I don't know of any to attend. So if you know of any things in those areas, I mean, those are all really close to me. So I'd be happy to, should I see him. Someone asked me how the biorb is growing in. It's pretty well. It requires a bit more maintenance than I was anticipating. The misting system's really cool, but it's not quite enough for the plants that I have, so I have to spritz it daily. And most of the plants are doing really well. Some of the stuff in the moss cover doesn't look super awesome, but I've got to give it some time. I have to sort of figure out what it needs and go on from there.
I would press the down button because those are all things from a while ago. There you go.
Where'd it go?
Chambersburg, PA. That's very close. DMC Productions, huh? You're a neighbor. Hi, Kate from Alabama. Jen G Aquatics said that the camera is fantastic.
Oh, redhead Jen?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
Probably not. I would have been geeked.
Oh, Tanya, thank you. You are such an excellent supporter. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you follow her on Instagram, I think. You're a family favorite. So we appreciate it. Does anyone have any other specific questions for the children's or the husbands? Thank you, Bob Kaler. Biggest fan and student. So one of the things that I was thinking about doing this year is, you guys know that historically, and if you watch my channel, you know that I keep all of my fish for what feels like forever. I have neon tetras that are 15 years old. I have an Oscar who's 14 years old. My big boys are all well over a decade. I'm thinking that I may want to switch up some of my current displays, which would mean for the first time ever, like getting rid of some of my personal fish. But I really want to be able to show you guys some of those fish. So the main thought I'm thinking of is the 75-gallon South American Nano. I want to move a portion of those fish to a smaller aquarium to do a model setup. So like a 20 long or something like that, something more like what most of you guys would do. What are your opinions on stopping one of the long-term tanks that I have going?
Don't do that.
Don't do that?
Don't do that.
My family says don't. They like that tank. DMC, he just showed this bad boy, which is the camera. We were talking about doing a fundraiser for Chris's birthday in February. And this is a camera he made for me for Christmas.
Someone asked what our family's favorite fish tank is out of all of them.
What's your favorite fish tank?
Sid Fish's stuff.
So Clelia likes the 5-gallon Fluval Spec in the living room.
Or
what's your favorite?
I like the Christmas tree one.
She likes the Christmas tree tank, which is the Shell Dwellers. And we know Chris likes the Blacktail Killers, but there's been a lot of new tanks since that one. Do you have any new favorites? No, still the Blacktail Killers. And what did you call the High Pancistrus? The Zeppelins? Something like that? Wasn't it something like that?
The Zeppelins.
Do my kids have any animal-related hobbies?
I'm a dog walker.
Clelia pet sits.
I pet my cat.
We have cat. not really.
Do not say that on the internet.
Clelia actually is quite a talented little aquascaper herself. She won't let me ever show her stuff online. I'm not sure why, but she's got a little Florida flagfish aquarium up in her room that she has aquascaped and fully planted, and the plants are doing awesome. Both of these guys are more into the arts, I think, than the aquatic side. But, when I was a kid, my family had tanks, but, they weren't mine, so I wasn't super into it. It wasn't until I became an adult. So who knows in the future if they'll get into it, You never know. Thanks, KP, for the super chat.
Oh, hey, there's Biggs.
Yep, Biggs is in there. Right there.
Biggs, shut up about the snakes.
Yes. Clelia.
No, we're not going to talk about it.
We're not going to talk about it.
Biggs, I will personally fly to Canada to kill you. You better watch out.
Oh, man. You got to love when Your kids
Let's
harass
just-
people in the chat.
It's Biggs. He doesn't count.
Okay. Thank you, JP. Orchids. I work with a bunch of orchids. Actually, right behind my husband is my orchid window. So in that window are mainly phals and mini phals. And then I have a bunch of other types of orchids on the plant wall and in the biorb. And one of the projects that's been heavily delayed that we're doing this upcoming year is a paludarium. And I would really like to have a bunch of the little mini orchids in there.
Someone asked about all of our favorite bands.
Favorite bands?
Against Me.
She said Against Me. And what about Watsky?
He's not a band.
He's a musician. That can
Yeah.
count.
No, Against Me, favorite band.
Against Me is her favorite band. What about you?
I have no idea.
What about you?
I have way too many.
Yeah, see, we
Man,
have.
golly,
I
man.
have country, rockabilly, punk rock, hip hop.
I listen to everything.
Do the girls get all
It's
well?
way
No.
too many to
What's
say
it
a
say?
favorite. You'd have to pick a genre.
Yeah, you'd have to pick a genre.
And
We're
even then, it's going to be hard.
we all have extremely eclectic musical tastes, so it's hard to pick like a person. Someone just called you beautiful.
You gotta look
Why,
for the right kid.
thank you.
Mom's like, thank you.
Mom's like-
Someone asked if we are Philadelphia Mummers Parade fans. When I lived in the city, it was super fun to drink on the streets. But other than that, like
is.
not really.
Still is.
Chris and I actually met in Philadelphia, and we lived there for about a decade. But we don't have a TV. I got rid of it. So it's kind of difficult. I mean, I guess I could watch it online, but we watched the Macy's Day Parade at Thanksgiving, but,
Do the girls go well? No.
How are you even reading these?
Because I'm a genius.
Where are they?
Woo.
what did you say?
It said, do the girls go on well? And I said, no.
I mean, the girls
I don't even know what you're
are
saying.
the girls are siblings, so
Oh, get along well.
they do what siblings do.
I couldn't understand what she was saying.
One thing I will say is, though they tend to have a lot of disagreements, they also have each other's back. So I hope that they always will. But you never know.
Hey, rabbit.
Who's
What?
Rabbit?
It says hey, rabbit. That made me laugh.
Who's Rabbit?
I think it was supposed to be Rachel, but I don't
Oh,
Oh.
I can be Rabbit. Any honey can. Hey, Chuck. Nice to see you. No, they still are not breeding, but I swear those female honeycomb cats look like they swallowed like a golf ball. They are so full of eggs. It's got to happen anytime now. I'm just not sure when it will be. You know how fish are. They don't read the books or follow our timelines. They do what they want to. So.
Egg.
Someone just
Smooth
said
comments.
egg.
Egg. Some eggs. Egg. Love it.
Eggs are good.
No.
All right. That's all I can ask of sisters. That's right.
All right,
I'm
that's
trying
the end
to
of the chat. Goodbye.
No.
Egg. Goodbye.
I'm trying to see if there's any other questions. What do your daughters think about the fish?
I like that it's warm down there.
They like that it's warm down there. I heat the fish room to 82 degrees.
I mean, I don't mind them. Doesn't bother me.
I will. What about you?
Fish. Or fish.
I will-
Who has fish?
What's that?
Two.
I will say, like, while they don't have any like daily interaction with the fish room, the first one of the first things they
You
do
sound like Jaden.
when they have people over is everybody likes to show off the fish room, even guys from Chris's work or things like that. What do you think of the fish?
He likes
The fish themselves.
Yes.
It's hard to keep track of their names. So I haven't formed a personal bond with them. It's just too hard to keep track of. I have so many fish employees. I feel like a terrible CEO of the fish house.
Oh my god.
No, I like looking at them. I like looking
You
at
like
them.
the black-tailed
I
killers.
enjoy looking at them. I enjoy the calmness of them, but it's nothing that I would like to. I want to say waste my time with.
So-
Occupy my time with. Like I the patience to do
The
it.
disrespect.
But
So what you
let's not
guys-
waste my time.
What you guys don't know is the reason I own Captain Cranky Pants is I was desperately trying to get my husband interested in the hobby. Thank you, Stephen, for the super chat, and D-Max. So I bought this, or I didn't actually buy him. He was a gift from the old owner of Monster Fish Keepers to me, this wild Oscar because, all guys like big cichlids, right? And I thought, he would be a big fish when everything else I had was shrimp and snails at that point. I was like, this will be the best way to get the kids and my husband into this hobby. They'll see this big interactive fish. And then Captain hated everybody but me for years. Like, he would pretend to be dead. He would lay sideways and turn gray on the bottom of the tank. And it really just didn't work out that way. We still have him, though.
I do that.
It's kind of like Pepper was picked out
By
for the
Chloe.
girls, but she's my cat now.
Okay.
And she loves me the best.
Literally stop. She loves me the best.
It's very similar, but
But
If you don't knock it off.
But Mabel loves me the best.
Captain Cranky Pants is doing well. I live in fear of that fish dying, but he is very old and it's inevitably going to happen. So, I dread the day.
just like all of us.
Yeah, just like
We're
all of
gonna
us.
die. Happy New Year.
I'm sorry.
Kill it. Kill it,
A big one is your dream tank. A big
See, this
one.
is my dream tank.
A big one. You talked about a big one.
I do.
A big one.
I'm trying, guys. There's a reason I usually stream at noon.
Is that when I'm leaving or coming home? When does she do that?
Me?
Huh?
What?
What?
I'm leaving
Oh,
in a
man.
little bit. Thank God. No, I'm just kidding.
Any recommendations on nano feeder fish to raise for your snakes? Probably either rosy red minnows or zebra danios or something like that. They're really easy to breed and prolific, or live bears. Thank you, Kent's Fish. What are you laughing at?
Just something I thought of.
Oh, my word.
Raise polypters to feed your snakes. It'll be a battle. Since you chose one.
That's terrible. I don't even feed live fish to my fish.
Land snake versus sea snake. Survival of the fittest.
Whoa.
Oh, that's what happens when you're obese.
Yeah, sorry about the we're all gonna die Happy New Year thing.
No, I thought that's hilarious.
Oh, man. Would I ever consider opening my own little freshwater aquarium and doing educational events? I already do that. I host events here, and I've had Boy Scout troops and Girl Scout troops, and I've done lectures for the schools, and I've set up aquariums for the schools, and I've donated to tons of schools all over the country. One thing that I would like to do next year is potentially do a summer tubbing symposium where it would have to be a limited number of folks. I'd have to do like pre-sale tickets, but you could come, we could make a bin together and then you get to take it home. I don't know if that's something many people would be interested in, but I have the greenhouse and I thought it sounded really fun. Thank you,
Somebody
Taylor.
tipped Dad $10. Somebody asked me how do you watch TikTok. I said,
Ginger Graves spent, you got tipped. So for your words of inspiration.
About what?
We're all gonna die. Happy New Year.
Ginger. All right.
You see what I have to deal
Yes.
with?
Ginger is okay. Everybody tip Ginger.
Oh,
That's
man.
not how that works.
Yeah, that's not how it works, but
I wish
that's.
it did. I wish it
Oh, I'm
did, Ginger.
crying.
oh my God.
I wish it worked like that.
Nano fish to breed in a 30-gallon blackwater tank. Licorice gourami or wild bettas.
I think I said liquor.
That's
It's
what I
like,
thought.
nice.
Like a lot of the most nano fish in general, but a lot of the licorice gourami and wild bettas in particular's habitats are so critically threatened. They really need people to breed them and keep them going in the hobby. They're not viable for most of the farming because, they're just not high profit fish in bulk and they wouldn't do well in stores or display well in stores. So I would really encourage folks to consider them. Chris has his own merch line.
Huh?
We did that t-shirt with the
Who's asking about merch for me?
I don't know.
I'll design that
The
merch.
shifting pattern.
Yeah, if you 3 on the tree, I think it was. But anyway, if you have suggestions for that merch line, I'd love to hear it.
Me too.
New merch. We're all gonna die. Happy New Year. Well, that I mean
Exactly.
that
Happy
that
New Year. We're all
you know, and I could have like a firework behind it or something, or like in the shape of a mushroom cloud.
Yep.
You know, I don't know.
Nuclear
We're all gonna
war.
die. Happy New Year.
Oh man. Oh. I can't
I
believe
make
that.
money from ginger.
Yeah, you did. You did. Does anyone have any other questions for my family? Poor people. Have I ever bred my betta and bellis? Not yet. I think I need to pull out the schooling fish
Pepper, shut up.
from that aquarium. Pepper, come here.
Cats don't have rights.
Don't you yell.
So this also quite happens like all the time when I'm doing voiceovers for my videos. Is I'll have my headset on and I'm trying to do this voiceover and the cat just walks in and starts screaming. Or both of our cats play fetch. So this one plays fetch with springs. So she'll drop a spring repeatedly on my foot, which makes a clinking sound. So if you ever hear that in the background of my voiceovers, it's because the cat is persistently telling me that it is time to play.
Go Winnipeg. Is that what that person said?
Do
I
you
just
intend to spool up again and import ship again? Never like I did before. I can't physically do it. I don't think I'll ever be able to again. I would like to have a much more expanded stock list from what I do now. What I'd rather do is focus on people like you or like some of the people that I've met up with over the past couple months who have very focused efforts on specific fish that align with what I love. So I picked up a ton of wild betta. I picked up a ton of captive raised Soelia. I have a bunch of those purple oil cats. What I'd like to do is really support those hobbyists that are producing really high quality, unusual, important fish and be able to give them money to do another project and then sell their babies or what I breed here. You know, I'm just not sure exactly how much I'll be importing. Thank you, Fish Room Fever. The problem with importing is there's a minimum. So you have to get, you know, say, even if it's only 3 to 5 boxes, that's still, you know, 4 to 6 bags per box times 4, you know, that's up to 24 bags of fish. You need a lot of space to be able to properly quarantine well, I always quarantine before I sell, but I know some don't, to quarantine them. So that means you have to have enough empty tanks all the time to be able to do so. So I'd rather focus my efforts on other things than, you know, constantly having this cycle of turnover of fish. It you know, it doesn't make decent money. It's a ton of work. It's a ton of time on my feet. It's a ton of time away from my family. It makes it harder to travel and, you know, just doesn't pay, if I'm being honest. But I do kind of miss it. I miss getting fish for my customers.
They asked if we have any like passions or something. Somebody asked that. It was like way up the top.
Okay. What are your passions?
Ask Abby first. I don't
What are
know.
your passions?
Ask someone else.
I don't know.
Diving.
Oh yeah.
What are your goals? What do you want to do?
I don't know. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know.
So
I
currently,
know what I want to do.
what do you want to do?
Me? I want to retire. I want to pay off my house. I want to retire, and I want to build stupid shit.
Wants
out
to
of
sell his
junk
children.
and have no one bother me. Just live my life and be
Hermit?
no. Just be like somewhat happy. Just comfortable and happy. I don't need material shit. Just I need to eat good food for my wife and
So you still have to cook?
stay in my
I love to cook.
and stay in my garage. That's what I want.
Oh, did you pull that out?
Dad pulled it out.
Okay, sorry. I've been cooking New Year's snacks all day for everyone, which is a tradition. And Abigail is without a doubt the most food motivated human being I have ever met. And so she has to get some chicken dip critically right now.
I make art.
Claudia makes a lot of art. She actually, do you have any of the stuff you've painted? Any of the jackets or anything?
I just sold those one to Jay.
She does custom paintings on clothing, like jean jackets and stuff, and they're incredible. Do you have a place where you sell your art?
My Instagram.
Through your Instagram?
Yeah.
Do you want to spell that?
Crap, can I spell?
INST.
No. SOPAYIE, Soapie.
SOAPYIE.
Sopa.
What? Yeah, I know. I'm doing
SOPA.
Okay.
No, SOPA.
Oh,
We
jeez.
don't have
It's like my
YIE.
mom.
No. Incorrect.
No, they'll find it.
Good enough.
Close enough. I tried.
I do sell digital art too, so I sell them online.
Yeah, she does digital art as well. She's super talented. What are you doing?
How is that
I
going
can't pull them out of the bag. It'll be too loud. So I'm going to pour them out on this.
Oh my gosh, just get it over with.
That's what I'm doing, man.
Someone asked if we have a favorite coffee place we go to. There's this area, there's really...
There's nothing here.
It's chicken dip.
Oh.
This area, there's nothing like locally owned. There's Starbucks and Dunkin', and the Dunkin' is right by the school, so they go there in the morning. But
House.
you know,
is my favorite coffee place.
Chris makes me coffee every morning. He sets the coffee pot for me before he leaves.
Oh, I play musical instruments.
Clelia plays musical instruments. She plays the ukulele and the guitar,
Trumpet.
French horn. You played clarinet for a while, but not for a long time. Abby's really focused. Abby used to sit directly next to me, like right here, and practice her clarinet every night. It was
I don't know what you're talking about.
It was inspiring.
It was hell.
But no, now Abigail is mainly focused on her diving. She does springboard diving, and for her high school team, and also for her club team, which is part of USA Diving, which is pretty neat. And she hopes to do that in college as well. So, do I have any dream pets or fish that I want but can't get or have? I can't have an Asian arowana, but I would love to. I think realistically speaking, I would also love to have stingrays, but I don't have the tank for them. So there's...
Dog.
I don't want a dog.
I want a dog.
You want a dog, man?
You're going to be moving out in 2 years.
Stay with me.
That's your deadline. 2 years.
Man.
What are you guys gonna do?
Oh,
for
look,
dog
Candy,
after?
thank you. They found your Instagram and shared it.
Then beat it.
Thank you, Candy.
2
I
years,
appreciate
then
it. He plays keyboards. That's cool.
Keyboards.
As far as fish, or pets that I want a miniature donkey. Like, I'm being paid to want it.
Okay.
I want one so bad.
Huh?
But I'm not going to get one because
So
I don't
cute.
really need more work.
Dad, I literally just saw like the 6th person ask me to do more building videos.
Oh, yes. So here's the thing. You guys don't know how lucky you are right now that Chris is even in the background of this video. Chris hates being on camera. When he did that video for you guys where he actually filmed himself,
Rachel paid me $1,000. She didn't.
it was a really big deal because normally I have to film around Chris being in it, or he wants the shot so tight that Chris is invisible. Because it really he doesn't like being on camera, and it's not for everybody. So, while I would love to feature more of Chris's really amazing work, it's not his jam.
People are asking about the chickens. 2 left.
We have 2 chickens. So our chickens are ancient. Like,
Dying noises.
they're over 10 years old, and I don't think they're supposed to live that long.
They're living their best life, Mom.
Probably like 5, 6.
6. No, they're older than that because I was looking back at Stalker Chicken's Facebook page. I used to have a chicken that had her own Facebook page because,
you
made the Instagram. She had an Instagram as well because she was absolutely a riot. She would sit on my shoulder, and if I wasn't outside, she would sit in the windows and just stare at me.
Hey, someone asked you to show your eye. Like, take it out and show it.
So what the hope is in the spring to build a new coop a little bit further away from the field where it is now and get new chickens, so a bunch of babies.
Oh, hey, give us
This is my husband's eye.
$10 to lick it.
Ew.
No.
I'll lick it. I'll lick
$10 is not enough.
I don't have money.
it. I'll lick it.
My crunchy snack.
I'm eating the crunchy snack.
People want you to name more of my fish, Chris.
Nope.
I guess I'd have to have another knee surgery, which I was supposed to have this September, but I'm going to try and push off my next knee surgery till after the kids
But I have a license.
have
so it's
have
easier.
graduated, because I really just don't want the downtime. We're also having a mukbang.
What? What'd you say?
It's a mukbang.
It's where people sit and eat on camera.
Oh. What is that?
Sounds bad.
Sounds dirty.
That was not the gear eye. That was the black sparkle eye.
Why do I have no eyebrows right now? I literally filled them in. I look bald.
Yeah,
You look invisible.
Teenagers. Any plans on going back to Joey's gallery? No, not that I know of. I mean,
How do you deal with predators like raccoon? Him with a baseball bat.
What'd you say?
can you please?
So. Whatever.
We try and make the chicken coop so that it is as safe as possible, so raccoons can't get into it. So it has, like, Chris put concrete curbs all around the inside. At the base, we buried the wire down into the ground. It's covered with a heavy duty embankment mesh, which is like
textile mesh for holding for erosion control.
It's basically like heavy duty plastic chicken wire, but times 10.
Yeah.
So that's over the entire top. The problem is more when we let them out of the coop into the yard, because, you know, there's hawks, there's owls, there's neighbors' dogs, which has happened. There's mink. The raccoons are a problem as well, but they're kind of easy to, well, not easy, but we can prevent them being able to get into the coop. The bigger issue is when you try and let the chickens out, it's, you know, you can't defend your entire yard.
We'll just get guards.
Would Chris ever think of building a custom aquarium, or have I missed that video from Yvette Emmanuel? Well, we do have plans at some point to build a really large tank for my big boys. The biggest obstacle is,
Chris is not a carpenter.
well, Chris doesn't work with
stairs.
wood, so it would be a metal tank, probably with an acrylic viewing panel. But the bigger problem is like we have to build it down there. Like nothing bigger than the tank they're in will physically fit down those stairs, as we've shown you with the recent stand builds that we've done. Like you can't fit anything bigger down there. You have to build it down there. So in order to build it down there, that means all of the open space in the middle of the room would be taken up with the aquarium, which doesn't allow any space to work around it. So one of the ideas I have is there's a super secret little room down there that I've never shown you guys, underneath the stairs. And I've thought about trying to build an aquarium underneath the stairs and into that room. But I don't
We're
know.
gonna move. That's what you said.
We're going to move, or we'll move to a bigger house.
Nope.
When Sparrow had their knee surgery, back to school in a few days. When I had my reconstructions and my orthoscopics and all of that stuff, I was back in a couple days too, but a total replacement it's no joke. It was quite the surgery. Oh, someone said that miniature donkeys make great guard animals for chickens.
That's bullshit.
I love that idea. All the more reason to get one.
I know.
Who else lied to their spouse about that?
The only way we'll ever get a guard donkey. We'll give.
A Carrie and Fish Nerd asked how you guys feel about me being popular in our fish community.
Oh, you're asking me that? It's just weird when people show up to our house.
It was weird, like, when I got recognized at that meet, too.
Oh, 1 year ago today, you got recognized at the grocery store by the butcher.
That's...
If only he'd give us free meat.
I mean, it's not like my channel has millions of followers. You know, I'm very proud of the size of my channel, but, you know, the only time it really is, like, interruptive is at fish events, which you expect it to happen there. So, I mean, I don't think I know that, you know, when the kids have friends over and they see my YouTube plaque on the wall, they think that's neat.
Really, I think it's super neat when people who admire and respect my wife and are truly fans talk to her, and the interaction is really neat. And, you know, my wife throws around fish names that I couldn't even begin to remember. And it's impressive to me. So that gives me a lot of joy to see that happen at my house, or when we're out and people recognize her, or just when she's in her element with other people. The only time I don't like it is when I'm at work, which has happened probably 5 or 6 times, and someone goes, "Dude, I know your wife." I'm like, "What?" I work in a waste-to-energy power plant. I've worked in a power plant for 20 years, you know? And I probably had 5 or 6 guys who go, "Dude, I know your wife. I watch her." And I'm like, "Huh?" You know? But, you know, that's kind of like I'm at work and I'm doing my thing and busy. Cool, but that's the only time it's somewhat pain in the butt. When a fish person thinks I'm a fish person too and wants to talk about straight fish with me, and I be like me talking power plant stuff to you guys, you wouldn't understand. So that's it.
You know, for me, you know, I've been doing this for so long. You know, I've been lecturing consistently almost every month for over 10 years now to fish clubs and at events and stuff like that. So for me, like, I guess because, you know, I don't really blend, I always sort of stuck out of the events and everyone always pretty much knew who I was. So for me, it's not really that markedly different. It's just, you know, exponential. But I do feel sometimes like I'm at a disadvantage that, you know, you guys get to follow along with my life and our lives, and you know so much more about me than I know about you. And sometimes it can be, you know, kind of sad to me that, you know, I can't get to know everyone the way that they feel they know me. So, you know, that's why I continue to go to events and clubs, though, because that's the way I get to know you guys. You know, if you make the effort to come out there, it's really important to me that I spend all day at those events so I can meet and talk to as many of you as possible. I really enjoy hearing about your tanks and answering questions and just chatting about fish and stuff. So, you know, it's kind of interesting. I'm working on having my website redone, and I was looking back through my old events, and I was like, wow, it's really been a grind of speaking for 10 years. And I still love doing it. So, you know.
Someone said they would die if they saw you in a grocery store.
Oddly enough, I get recognized most often at the liquor store. So I'm not sure what that says about me or about you guys.
She's there every day.
Or it's like when we go to dive meets, you find a lot of people. Not a lot of people, like a couple people.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty often that I get recognized when I'm out. Someone asked what happened to Chris's eye. Do you want to tell
I
her,
took
or
a
you want
fork
me
to it. There was an accident. He tripped. He's like,
it's not true. Chris had a iridocorneal endothelial syndrome.
I got stabbed defending my fish wife.
I'm not your fish wife. I'm your real wife.
Oh, real wife.
So he had a genetic condition that caused glaucoma first, and then corneal buckling and rupture. He had a corneal transplant, a ton of other surgeries too, but it ended up in corneal transplant, which led to a giant retinal tear. So he became completely blind, and that transplant failed within a year. And basically what they say with corneal transplants is that most often, each time you have to have a new one, it lasts for half as long. And it was a pretty intense surgery. So we opted for Chris to have his eye removed. Chris opted. I just was an advocate. I opted. So, you know, Chris had his eye removed a few years ago, and now he has some pretty badass prosthetic eyes. They're called scleral shells that he uses. I think they're neat. Whatever.
Fork fight sounds better.
Fork fight is a much
Fork fight, dude.
fork fight.
No, that's it.
Yes. I'm in. Was that Ginger?
No, I think that was Jennifer.
Jennifer.
That. I told him that he should say that my gar bit him or something. Let's that little Cuban gar.
He got attacked by
He's
a
nasty or attacked by a shark. Let's at least come up with something thematic.
I didn't even think of the fish biting my eye out.
Yeah, you see, a loach attached him in a river, sucked his eyeball out. It could happen.
Right.
I one time I got in a whole bag of otocinclus. None of them with any eyeballs. And that's because there was a little Shistera loach in the bag. And during transit, I don't know how that loach got in there. It ate all the eyeballs of all the otocinclus. The fish were fine. They just had no eyes. Chris is blind in one eye.
That's because he has no eye.
because it doesn't exist.
That's because I only have one.
Is there another book on the horizon? How would it be different from the previous? Yes, I'm actually working on a couple. I want to do a book that is more about my philosophy of stocking and, sort of redefining nano aquaria to not be a tank size, but to be more about, setting up a natural planted aquarium or a natural aquarium for groups of small fish in large spaces. So sort of redefining nano. I also would really like to do a book on my adventures in mini ponds and using plants, emergent, and things like that. I think it's super fun and a great way to breed fish.
I'll send Abby on her phone while she's on.
Yeah, she's sitting here Snapchatting next to me.
One of your little fans was texting me.
One of your little fans.
Well, he's my age, so he's little, but...
So I have a few ideas for things that I want to write. The biggest obstacle is, the last book I did was a contracted book through TFH. So they had a publisher, they did the formatting, they did all that stuff. So it really wasn't like I had to supply the content and approve it, but Mark Denaro, who was my co-author, if I self-publish, I have to figure out formatting. I have to figure out all of that. It's really important to me that if I'm writing a book that people have the ability to purchase an actual book, not just a download. I still really like actual books. I like to put little Post-its and write notes and use them as a reference, and anything that I write would be more of a reference book than anything else. So, I'm not sure if I should try and shop around for publishers or if I should go the self-publishing route. The deal I had on the last book was not good. It was a pre-agreed upon flat fee, so I never got royalties. So the fact that it's out of print because it's sold everything didn't mean much for me beyond it being published. So I'm not really sure what to do there. So if any of you are in publishing and have any advice for me, I would love to hear it. I have actually a document open on my computer right now that of course you can't see because you're not that creepy. That is one of the books in progress. I have quite a few chapters done. I've been working on it. I'd like to get at least one of them done, hopefully by spring, at least to be submitted for review. Have some people read over it and give me some criticism, peer review. One other thing that I did want to mention as well is that I visited one of you guys and picked up some shrimp that have that green fungus disease. And I did submit them to the University of Florida's aquaculture lab. They did send back preliminary results, but the hope is that probably by the end of January, we'll have a formal diagnosis and treatment plan to deal with that disease so that it's no longer as insidious as it has been. I know lots of people have been working on it, but I was very thankful that they offered to do this for me so that we could get some papers out there so that when people are searching and looking for info, they'll be able to find it. Do I write articles for fish magazines? I've written for Tropical Fish Hobbyist. I've written for Amazonas. I've written for the Aquatic Gardener magazine. I don't write for any of them currently, mainly because a lot of them really just don't pay. And I'm already putting out so much content for free on YouTube and when I was out for my knee replacement, my DSLR the screen got broken. So I don't have the camera that I use to shoot actual photography anymore. The camera that I use for shooting video is amazing, but it would take me a lot of time to get my skill level shooting manual for photography back like on par with where it was with my SLR. I guess I could have the SLR repaired, but it all comes down to time and money and time, you know. And, you know, magazine subscriptions, I reach the amount of people in an hour on YouTube that they get in a year of circulation. And it's all able to be searched through the same Google SEO. So I've really tried to focus on providing my information in the most available formats possible. Though if I were to write for one, it would be Amazonas Magazine. Again, I think that's a really wonderful publication. So if you're looking for a fish publication, if you buy a subscription to that, it also comes with a digital subscription, which means you can look back at old issues. And it's a really wonderful magazine. My knee is terrible. I was supposed to have a revision in September and decided to put it off till after my kids graduate from high school because I just don't want to go through the rehab process again right now. So, you know, something to remember in 2020, you don't have to do water changes, you get to do water changes. That is absolutely true. I feel very lucky every time I sit down there and look. Like, I mean, how cool is it that I have all those aquariums in my basement? I have these cool gardens in my yard. My family was totally all right with me getting rid of our television so I could put in a plant wall, you know.
Is good advice. Whoever did that.
That was Jake Black, or who was that?
I mean, not even.
I don't know where it went.
That was really wonderful advice.
Like, not even with just fish.
I can't
I
find
think
it.
you went too far.
But, like, that's good advice for
Someone asked me for
almost
dates.
anything you do. Like, you get to go to work. There's a lot of people that don't have jobs. You know, you get to. Sorry, honey, cook dinner.
Woo!
I just like dinner. I like dinner. You know, but no, that's good. That's super good.
Tom asked how my camera break. I don't know. The first time I tried to pull it out after my knee replacement, after not being in the fish room for months, I pulled it out of the camera bag and it was shattered.
Weird.
You know, I think it probably got knocked off a shelf or a bench or something and put back and no one even thought about it or thought twice or even remembered it happening. You know, I should have probably put it away better.
Someone asked me if I chose a college and I did not. I'm 16.
She's a junior, so she's started doing unofficial visits to some of the schools that she's interested in for diving. Official visits will probably start this winter at some point, and you know, figure out
Winter.
figure out from there. She wants to study science. She wants to dive, and she wants to go somewhere warmer. Which I can't blame her.
Cold. I don't like it.
Lumpy Dog is the one that made that comment. That was a very wise comment. You know, a lot of times I think it's really easy to get caught up in all the things that aren't going well and only see the things to be done and really lose track of all of the even small things that we achieve all the time and the small things that give us joy. So that was really good advice. Even though we're all going to die. Happy New Year.
Remember Ginger. Remember Ginger. Remember the words of Ginger. You're gonna die.
Oh, gosh. You know, one of the reasons someone asked me earlier if I was going to go back into importing and selling on a larger scale again. And one of the reasons I don't really want to is because I have to tell you, like, for many years, that entire fish room was just sail tank. It was just turnover. Some of the aquariums were pretty, but most of them were not pretty because I needed to be able to net fish out of them. I've really, really enjoyed making that main part of my fish room like a place that is a haven for me and a haven for folks to visit. A lot of you guys email me and set up appointments to come buy fish or see the fish room. And I mean, I'm totally fine with doing appointments and I don't care if people just want to window shop and just look. What?
Someone said, I'm sorry, I thought Abby was the older one.
Abby is the older one.
I thought you
One
were
is
a little-
16 and the other is
That was
15.
pretty
So
funny.
one is a sophomore and one is a junior. They're Irish twins.
Oh, that was pretty funny.
Sorry. I thought you were older, more mature.
Right?
So she's a junior. She's got a year to figure it out. A lot of times, divers will commit earlier than some of the other athletes just because it's a winter sport. But we're not really in a huge rush. Got to find the right fit. School wise, it's expensive. I'm still paying my school loans, so got to find the right fit for her.
I'm paying for my school choices.
Oh, Victor, I would love to be able to have her visit California, but
Where?
unless it's an official visit, there's no way
Unless
that
you want to fly me out.
there's no way that we could afford that. She went and did an unofficial at North Carolina State, which we loved. She really liked that one. And we went to James Madison University. Went to Towson.
I've done a couple of other visits.
She's done quite a few. Just got to find the right mix of academics, where it is, and what she wants.
Warmth.
How do fish get high? Seaweed. There's been a lot of jokes rolling through the chat. I think those are for you, Chris.
There was a couple. It was like a shark's. What happened? Or what do you call a shark that swallows a lot of keys? Lockjaw or something like that. It's fun.
Someone asked if you're taking requests for your metal artwork. So Chris likes to create on Chris's terms. If you want to,
I just have a hard time
You like to do what you want.
fulfilling other people's requests, and it's no disrespect to anybody, and it's nothing personal. But like, my shop time is my time. I go out to my shop, and I do
Whatever you want.
whatever I want. It's kind of like people in the fish room. You decorate your tank how you want. You do your garden the way you want. It's not for anyone else. So what I do in the shop is for me, and if my wife happens to mention something that might be neat, maybe I take it and run with it. Maybe I don't. Maybe I never do it. Maybe, I seem to build 3 or 4 or 5 of something and then go, yeah, I'm done. I'm done with that forever. Maybe I'll revisit it, but it's my thing. It's my time. It's my space. So sorry.
someone said that years ago they contacted me about buying shrimp. This is Barbara Jackson, and I gave her advice to buy them locally, especially with shrimp. I think that if you can get them from someone who's breeding them in your local waters, you're most likely to have success. So I'm glad that worked out for you.
It did. All right.
Catherine said, I used to show some of my husband's work for sale. When Chris has work for sale, I will post it on my Facebook or my Instagram, or his, which is Mr. Jinxed on Instagram. It's like anything else. When
Mine can be offensive.
Chris is always offensive.
I don't have followers.
Chris is always offensive, but it's all part of the charm.
Not always.
Just sometimes.
Do you want to sit down?
What do you call a bear with no teeth? Gummy bear. That's perfect because Abby loves gummy bears. For every dive meet she gets, I buy her a bag of gummy bears to share with the sour ones to share with her teammates.
I like to see people.
Am I planning on visiting any more places that are abandoned? Yeah, of course. Whether or not I'll film them depends on probably whether or not I want to be arrested.
What?
That's a way to
Asked
go.
about visiting more abandoned places.
Oh, dude, I will.
That would be the kind of YouTube channel Chris would probably actually do, because it would all be away from him and on the environment.
I'm good at breaking into places.
Florida, I'm coming to in a few weeks. Florida, has some great schools, but they have to be
What I want.
what she wants, and we'll figure it out.
I don't feel like driving there. That
Yeah,
sounds
I
terrible.
also, as selfish as it sounds, I would love to be able to see my daughter. And when you're on a collegiate athletic team like that, they have very limited time away from their practices. So
That just sounds like I'd have to stay there for winter break and stuff. That sounds terrible.
Sounds great.
Well, it sounds nice because it'll be
I'm
warm,
just
but
kidding.
hey.
I'm kidding.
Silly Susie says, Chris, she feels where you're coming from. She's a seamstress and uses her sewing as an escape.
Yes.
She doesn't want it to be a job. And that's exactly it. And that's another reason why I don't really want to go back to selling fish in bulk. I love fish. I love keeping fish. I love watching fish. I love learning about fish. I love sharing what I learn about fish. But when you're selling them, man, it becomes a job, like a straight up job. It's a job just to maintain all those aquariums. But, you know, I really just want to keep my passion and share my joy and not have it be driven by dollar signs or the bottom line. I mean, thankfully, because of all of you guys and YouTube and the platform, I mean, that pretty much covers the expenses of running the fish room. You know,
Susie Silly. Silly Susie said it succinctly.
There was a joke that said, like, what happens to a fish that eats raw fish, and it was like, they get salmon. I like the jokes, they're funny. Someone said,
how shallow is our water table? Pretty shallow, honestly. It doesn't seem to affect the water quality. Our well is...
No, our water table's deep.
Oh, our water table's very deep. We live right up the road from the Susquehanna River, which is part of the Chesapeake Bay watershed.
But our well is 330 feet deep, and it only flows 5 gallons a minute. It's very rocky and shaly around here, so the water table isn't that great. If that makes shaly, I don't even know if that's a real word.
It's hitting midnight in Europe.
Yeah.
Happy New Year, Europeans!
Happy New Year.
Someone said
you're gonna die.
From Bulgaria or something that they said it
You're gonna die.
Like 2024.
Soon.
Nope, you're gonna die.
So
Everyone's like,
Happy New Year.
It's
Happy
6
New Year.
o'clock.
It's only 6 o'clock here. I still have to eat dinner. Finish cooking.
I just ate.
Oh, we have shrimps.
I haven't made them, so I'm not sure that I will. Anyway, thank you guys all so much for joining us. Would you like to stop back in and say hello? You look very pretty. I look forward to making more content this year. Just to recap, February 1st, I'll be at the Gold Coast Aquarium Society in Fort Lauderdale. February 2nd, I'll be at Neighborhood Fish Farm in Miami. I'll be at Aquafest in Louisiana, just outside New Orleans, April 18th and 19th. And then Aquashella Dallas, May 16th to 17th. And there's still a bunch of other things that are also up in the air for the rest of the year. And, you know, let me know if there's a really cool event near you, because I would love to hit more regional events.
January 1st, I'll be at your mom's house.
Huh?
I'm just kidding.
Anyway, thank you guys very much for joining us. We're going to go ahead and sign off so I can finish making all the snacks for New Year's. I hope everyone has a healthy and happy New Year and a safe night tonight.